Today we're speaking to Paul. He's got an education business doing around £250,000 a year. Trouble is, he's dissatisfied with his business model. Is this model going to ever get him the profitability that he so desires? Let's find out. Welcome back to the Business Broadcast. I'm James Sinclair, and you are?
I'm James Burr, but our guest has just left that recording room as soon as I press record. He's back. Don't worry about it.
There we go.
We'll carry on.
Welcome back to the Business Broadcast. We haven't seen each other for a couple of weeks.
We haven't.
Because I've been in Asia. China, to be fair.
And then Hong Kong?
Then Hong Kong, which is still part of China, but not.
So which way do you go to China?
Well,
do you go via Hong Kong?
No. I start in Shanghai and work my way down south as the food gets nicer. And then when you get to Hong Kong, it's pretty much Western. Lovely.
So do you plan because there's different regions in China for different specialist stuff, isn't there?
You'd be correct. Have you been watching a certain James Sinclair's Instagram
Yeah,
stories?
I know. Yeah, and a pal of mine used to say he used to have a big architecture business. He'd like, I'll go for a week, and he goes to these malls just on sofas for a week.
Yeah, that's correct.
And there'd be like a whole town that just makes sofas. And I'm like, what?
That town's called Foshan.
Foshan.
Foshan, Foshan, which is the furniture manufacturing hub of the world, really, yeah.
So do you go, what do you go for, like toy stuff and then other stuff, and you go to specialist areas?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Per thing?
Small commodities, I don't know, like mugs, trinkets, pens, that sort of areas, a place called EU. So make a lot there. Technology, good in Shenzhen. DJI Maverick Pros are all made in Shenzhen. Shantou is quite good for toys as well, but EU is also good for toys.
And what's the distance between like the cities?
Oh, massive.
Is it?
Yeah. You're regularly doing London to Madrid in a day.
Do you fly?
Fly, train.
Oh,
drive.
Really?
Yeah.
And so then when you go there, do you have like somewhere that you go back to each time, or do you sort of just decamp and go around?
I go to somewhere called Canton Fair, which is the world's largest trade show, which operates over 6 weeks. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, with a break in between so they can break it all down and set it all up. And that happens twice a year, April and October.
And are they different things, these Canton fairs, each time? Or is it?
Same stuff.
Oh, it's the same stuff.
So, I mean, they do change the phases round a bit, but I know where we were. So like party stuff might be in phase 3 one year, then it might hopscotch into phase 2.
Okay. And there was 3 of you that went?
Stationery. Yeah. So Jenki, who our commercial director.
That makes sense because she actually works in the business. You also had the ultra tourist with you. James Martin came for a jolly up, didn't he?
No, he was into it. I mean, we went and...
I bet he was. Well, did he buy loads of stuff?
I mean, yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing, so he was. He went, oh yeah, that's cheap. I'll have 5,000 of them, and then like I was thinking, oh, that's going to be my problem to do.
Yeah. I've got to get that back for him.
He forgets there's a shipping container involved and testing, because everything you bring into the UK, unless you're Team Sheen and Wish, which is a separate conversation, everything has to be tested for make sure that paint's not toxic, make sure that metal is not corrosive.
So what do you mean unless you're Temu? Are they testing it before it lands, or is it like they're not testing it and that's why it's so cheap?
Over in Europe and in the UK, we have higher standards. I'm not this is just a fact.
Yeah.
We have usually higher food standards and higher toy standards, fire retardant standards on sofas and stuff like that than the rest of the world. Yeah. In Asia, on their home market, they don't have as higher standards as Europe and the UK. So what Temu, Wish and Shein are doing is they're selling stuff that's under $100. So it's just going through the post and not really going through the duty system.
Oh, really?
So they're getting away with a lot. And I hope the government will crack down on that. Because people are going on Temu and wishing, and this is just so cheap.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they're using, well, I'm not saying they may be using manufacturing standards that would not be as good as what.
So wouldn't get past here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd pick up some Temu, Shein and Wish stuff, and I'm like, how have they done that and that been allowed?
Yeah.
There's little things that we demand on in the UK, like, batteries on the back of a children's toy. There needs to be a screw on there.
Yeah.
So that the batteries can't
come out.
Come out, rather than just a little catch.
Yeah.
So we used to have just a little catch 10 years ago. Then a kid had some batteries, died or whatever. So new standards come out.
Yeah.
We want the catch, but we now also want a screw. Well, at China, most of the toys don't have a screw. because that's an extra cost, an extra thing. So anything that we bring in from China, we would have up to those standards.
So how are they getting away with that then?
Because it's like, I don't know, like you sending something to a relative you've got in China through the post.
Yeah, but it must be like, there's one thing sending it to a relative. It must be another thing like, oh, now Temu, like every time a Temu box comes in, surely.
There's some rules. If there's something up to, I think it's up to $135, it sort of bypasses all the duty rules.
But therefore, because it's been sent one thing at a time. Sure.
Correct.
So then for people like you who are retailers of lots of stuff, like most of the stuff you retail is going to be under 100 quid, isn't it? Especially in the light entertainment space.
So really who's going to get hurt from this most? I actually think it's going to be Amazon.
Right.
Because Amazon are very rigorous in making sure that so every item you bring in, you have a test certificate, an ISO test certificate that, pours the thing, sets it on fire, checks the paints, every material to make sure that it's all kosher, for want of a better word. And if you start selling on Amazon, you have to prove that you've had all that done to Amazon, Well, Temu and Shein, that's not happening at the moment.
So how are they being allowed to just...
Because they're under those... I mean, I think the rules will change.
It's got to, hasn't it? Sure.
It has got to.
Because it's unfair competition otherwise as well, isn't it? Because...
Well, yes, but I think it's the safety thing that's more concerning.
Yeah. Yeah, because I got hit up with... I must have been looking for like screens or something over the weekend, and Temu's got like a... Hey, get this double screen thing, and it folds out on your laptop, and it's like, it's $59. And I'm like, how can that physically cost $59? But if they're cutting a load of corners and using a load of cheaper materials and not having to adhere to regulations, and that kind of
you've got to remember, they make the iPhone, so they can make the top of the top.
Yeah, of course.
But if you bring down standards, and you don't, have the soldering as good or the safety systems in there, you can chop out tons of cost.
So what was the?
And if you don't do the testing, you can chop out tons of cost. I mean,
right.
It could cost £3,000 to test a line.
Really?
Depending on how many components there are. I mean, it could only be $100, but you can get away with it. Lots of people won't do it.
So what's the thing that you've bought this time around that you're most excited about?
Well, it's more of the same, really. We're importing lots of cleaning products that will go into Cafe Deli and black sacks. I found out we use around 150,000 black sacks across our estate a year.
Wow. Yeah, because I remember last time we were recording, you walked in, you were like, that's a good black sack. And there's like three of you like pulling a black sack. And I was like, wow. And you actually took a black sack with you as so an example.
I took it to the factory. I said, we want that exact quality, please.
So are you, because obviously Cafe Deli is a new thing since the last time you were there. So you having to go to different phases and different areas for stuff you've never really worried about?
Really more for that stuff I've done in North China.
Right, okay. So are you entering into conversation? Because obviously across your estate, you'd have bought, soaps and black sacks and that kind of stuff for your own estate. But now you've got like tens of thousands of customers as well.
We didn't really have I knew that there were savings to be done, but we didn't have the volume and the shift of volume quick enough with just our sort of...
With your stuff.
Yeah, but now we've got...
But now you have.
Yeah.
So are you going into different places to buy different stuff? Is it different levels of conversations?
Yeah, look, going to China, I mean, look, the scale of this country, it's a billion people. It's a huge country. And it does take you, 10 times to really understand it.
So do you get it now? And is it quite interesting going with James Martin, for example, who's a very astute entrepreneur, but doesn't know that
he doesn't know
that playing field.
Yeah, he doesn't know all the areas and stuff. And, you need to go a number of times. What he'd be lucky at, he was really interested in doing glamping stuff. And so we went to a factory that makes all glamping pods.
Ah, okay.
And I pointed out some of the issues. So they said, this is $10,000 for this glamping pod. But if they spent another $800, it would be mustard.
Right.
And they need coaching, the factory, on bringing it up to European standards.
Oh,
and
really?
He's going to do that. He's going to go there and he'll just focus on that. So he'll get really good at that.
Yeah.
I'm out there, I'm like teddy bears, black sacks, paper, arts and crafts, so there's balloons, there's a lot of things for me to get my head around.
Do you enjoy it when you go? You say it's like the busiest week of your year, isn't it? Or the busiest 2 weeks of your year. Is it just exhausting?
I don't hate it, but it's not.
Wow, that's a strong.
I don't
The Chinese tourist board are looking for it.
Well, we're not doing tourism there. I mean, I very rarely see the country.
So what do you literally go from factory to factory to factory?
Factory.
Back of a car, train.
Back of a car, train.
Airport.
Yeah. And then warehouse, trade show, bed. I mean, you could be staying in 5 hotels in 7 nights. Like if you get 2 nights in a hotel, you think, oh, this is luxury.
Really?
Yeah.
Does Shanky enjoy it?
Does she enjoy? I think
James Martin definitely enjoyed it. From his Insta stories, he looked like he had a wonderful time.
Well, he does because I think
it's new though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's excited for the new.
The pressure of he doesn't have as we're on a schedule to get stuff done,
and you've got to get it as well, haven't you? Like you have to leave that trip with those items, or you're in the soft smelly stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, or you go again.
Oh, really?
So a lot of people I know are going 8 times a year.
Really?
Yeah. If you
wow.
Look, what I would say to someone is, look, China's not the cheapest country. I mean, I've said this.
You've said it. Yeah.
They're not the cheapest country in the world to make stuff anymore. There's plenty of other countries: Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand. But what they have is the scale, the organisation, the resource, and the ability. I mean, the country is literally designed as a factory. Low energy costs, so they can make stuff. Yeah, well, I'm not trying to get political here. A lot of people go, "Oh, there's low energy costs because they don't care about the environment and stuff like that." But the fact is, they have 1 billion people. I think they do. It's a clean country as well. But I think people would. It is so technologically advanced. Yeah, no crime. I mean, that's one of the things that you don't see police. So 20 years ago, there was a big crime problem, a big Chinese mafia problem. I mean, the government just, if you do anything like that, that's the end of your life. And so crime is... Yeah, non-existent. It is one of the safest places I've been to in terms of just don't care.
Have you...
I've got I don't want to say this about London. This is my watch that I got from a wedding. I love this Rolex. But I go around London and I'm like, okay, where's my wallet?
I get it. I get it.
Rucksack. I had my rucksack half open the other day. And another person on the tube said to me, mate, your rucksack's open. It's like we're all sticking up for each other because I think there is a genuine worry about crime.
I get it. Yeah.
We just don't get that over there. If you cross the road, jaywalk in China, takes a picture of you and it affects your credit score in China.
Does it?
Oh, yeah. They're very serious about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It takes a picture of you and it affects your credit score. So when you want to go and get a mortgage, it'd be more expensive.
But I suppose it sounds crazy, doesn't it?
No jaywalking.
No, that's it. But it's almost that tiny little thing instills a way of doing things. It instills right and wrong. It instills that you will be found out if you do this stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to a podcast about the New York mayor, and the crime in the 90s was horrific. And he was like, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sort out the graffiti. He's like, that's the biggest problem here. But it was like murder. It was the murder capital of the world. But they got on top of the graffiti. And then because it looked nicer and because they were so harsh on that quote unquote petty crime, it sort of stopped everything else. It's almost the same thing what you're saying there with the jaywalking.
Yeah. One thing that doesn't annoy me about China, if anyone's listening from the Chinese government.
They're big fans of this podcast. I know that.
Mopeds on pavements, which...
Really?
Just for all of their control and cleanliness and just mopeds just driving along with passengers on the pavement if the roads are too busy. I just don't know how they allow it.
Wow.
I mean, you are dodging death on them pavements every day. I mean, proper mopeds, like Vespa style things.
Yeah.
They're all electric.
Oh my goodness. My favourite thing of your trip, I forgot to mention this, was the weird little suitcase scooters you've discovered.
Well, I brought that in today. We're going to.
Have you got it?
Yeah, I'm going to put that in the next pod.
I thought you just borrowed them while you were there. I didn't realise you actually bought one.
Do you want to tell you a funny story? I got onto BA and they said you can't bring that on here. I went, what about if I put it in the hold? They went, you'll have to put it in a suitcase. So I did. So I put that suitcase in a suitcase. Stupid things like that really wind me up. You can't put that in there unless you put it in another suitcase. Okay, let's put it. And she went, and I can't really see you doing it. So can you just go around the corner and do it? All right.
Oh, ridiculous.
Stupid things like that.
Well, there you go.
Well, don't knock them. They're great. I'm bringing it in here in the next step.
When are you going back then? Back in October again? Canton Fair
Probably
again?
October, yeah. because there's.
Do you go for different stuff each trip?
I don't. I was thinking to myself as I was driving along, I don't think I'm as efficient as I could be at the moment.
So should you do like the north for the northern stuff and then the south for
All
the
of
southern
it,
stuff?
I just don't think I'm on my efficiency game.
But I suppose that's going to happen over time, isn't it? Because what you're going there to buy and scale of which you're...
I mean, wholesale. I mean, James Sinclair in general.
Oh, really? Just in life?
I just don't feel,
Hold fire. Coaching session about to kick off.
No, I do. I just don't feel like, I missed a YouTube video a couple of weeks ago. Like,
Never did I think I'd see the day.
Yeah. I just,
The letter, I didn't get it till 7 o'clock last night. I was like, is it even Monday? Ping. Oh, it's Monday.
I mean, that was my fault as well. I started writing it at 6 o'clock on Sunday night and I fell asleep at 6:30. And then I woke up at 4 o'clock and I sent it at 4:30 a.m. Obviously, Chuds was shuttlebys wherever it was. and then, we put it out at 7 o'clock.
So you in general don't think that you're being efficient? Has the trip to China shown you that then?
When I was on the plane on the way back, I thought, I'll get loads done. I didn't. I just went to sleep. I just woke up and thought I could have got loads done. It just annoys me.
But you probably needed the sleep though, didn't you?
Well, yeah, undoubtedly. But
sleep is akin to lifespan, isn't it?
Yeah, and I just don't think I'm on my A game at the moment.
Oh. I
mean, obviously
you're bumbling along all right, mate.
Yeah,
Don't be too hard on yourself.
There's some things that, I just should be getting more stuff done quicker.
And did you have that realization because you've got like lots of time on flights, for example, where you can't be on your phone, you're not on your devices so much? Do you have more think? I know you're super busy, but when you go to China, have you got more think time, which is something that we always talk about on this pod?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe that's what I haven't been doing enough of. It's so intense, the time when I'm there. I don't know.
And is life just a bit intense at the moment? Is it always?
Yeah, maybe there is some things going on. I just want to be better. I don't feel like, I feel like we could be doing things better.
There's always room for improvement, isn't there? Well, there you go. An insight into the mind of James Sinclair. But before we go too deep down that particular rabbit hole, here's a knock at the door. It's time for this.
I've got some great ones.
Of course you have. Have you been on Insta this morning?
No.
Oh, you've got your own?
No. Come on then, I didn't hear the jingle.
Let's play it now. Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a magical button that I have to press for you to be able to hear it. Sorry about that.
So what are you going with, quote or fact?
I'm going to go for a quote. I've got
a quote as well.
Lovely little quote today. Here I go. And what on earth has happened to my phone? I've had 48 messages since we started this podcast. Hope it's not a serious emergency. No, it's not. It's just photos. Right. This is good. I think you'll like this one. And you won't do that thing like, they're so complicated, they need explaining. It's like a joke. If they need explaining, it's not good. Right, you ready for this? In a world where you can be anything, be happy. I mean...
Fantastic.
No?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. That's good. In a world where you can be anything, be happy.
Don't just repeat it back to me with an arrogant smirk on your face. What you got to say about it? I think that is the one biggest goal, isn't it, in life?
Yeah, absolutely. What is being happy mean, though?
I don't know. That's a very personal thing, isn't it?
Do you know what makes me happy?
Go on.
Progress.
Does it?
It really makes me happy.
Yeah.
What makes you happy, Chance?
Here we go.
That's a deep question.
Here we go.
I don't think happiness is something that people should...
Well, hello. What's going on here, JP?
No, that's fine.
I don't think happiness is something people should strive for.
Oh, here we go.
I think it fluctuates so much that you should just pursue things like progress and meaning, and happiness comes and goes.
Yeah.
I think happiness is such it's so untangible that you striving for that will probably make you unhappy.
Go on then, what's yours?
Oh, right, yes. That's the thing. I landed at Heathrow. I went through security, and big up to Heathrow on their security. So I always get through Heathrow security very easily.
I mean, that's perfect. It's a great sign of how good security is how quickly you can get through it.
No,
sure.
They've got enough sort of electronic gate things.
Yeah.
Go to Stansted, not always the case. So if anyone, the CEO of Stansted Airport, please sort that out, because you should take a leaf out of Heathrow's book. But I saw this And I took a picture of it, and I'm going to read it to you.
Come on.
Tomorrow's progress starts with today's practice. Champions evolve.
Oh, that is good.
Tomorrow's progress starts with today's practice. Champions evolve.
What was that an advert for?
It was a sporty advert. Digital first, cloud first. I don't know what it was. I just got that bit, but I really like that.
That's very good.
I'm going to do it one more time.
Go on, hang on.
Let's have some romantic. Tomorrow's progress starts with today's practice. Champions evolve, evolve, evolve.
James Sinclair, everybody. James Sinclair.
Did you like that?
Great quote. Rubbish advert because you don't actually know what the advert's about.
Oh, I only took half of a. It was maybe for Nike or something.
It was cloud first. It's a digital tech platform.
Never heard of them.
Exactly.
Thanks for the quote, Cloud
Rubbish.
first.
Yeah. Rubbish advert. Brilliant quote. Right. Should we talk about today's guest?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, my notes have got everything's fallen apart here. My notes have all disappeared out of nowhere. My computer is crashing. Right, we'll have to bumble through. So we're speaking to Paul White. There you go. He's from Spark 2 Education. He's been trading for 6 years. Estimated monthly revenue 20,000 squidaroonies a month. He has got 10 facilitators, but dun dun dun, he has got some challenges as well, which is what we like on this podcast. Challenge number 1, school budgets. Challenge number 2, equipment for workshops. Challenge number 3, creating new content. We always ask our entrepreneurs, where would you like to be in 1 year's time? And he said, adapting our model to be relevant in the home market worldwide through courses, projects, and mentorship. We also asked him, what will the business look like when it's finished? Let me say that again. What will the business look like when it is finished? He said, changing the face of education through future-focused skills. Do you make the profit that you want to make? And if so, what is it? He said, no, we make around 40 grand a year net profit. How do you spend
it? And that's his wages as well.
If he's doing 20 grand a month, so what's he doing? 2.5. No, I reckon he's paying himself as well.
I don't.
Do you not think? We'll find out. How do you spend your time day to day in the business? He says meetings, accounts, content creation, marketing, LinkedIn, pretty much everything. And then he's got a bunch of questions that he'd like to ask to you. So shall we?
Let's get him on, baby.
Get him on the show. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Hey, gang, we're going back to the pod in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you about Entrepreneurs University. This is a platform that I've created for entrepreneurs and business owners that are serious about growth. There's 100 video lessons from me on everything in business, raising finance, buying companies, property investment, and everything in between. Attached to each video is a downloadable PDF that goes into more detail about what we've learned in the video. It goes one step further than that because I've also put stuff that you won't get anywhere else onto Entrepreneurs University. The lessons go into way more detail, but not just that. You're going to get my business plans, my spreadsheets, and all the files that I use to drive the KPIs in my business. Just think about how powerful that could be for your business. And here's the good news. You can try Entrepreneurs University for free. 14-day free trial. After that, it will cost you just $49.99 a month. That's less than a pair of Nikes to grow the profitability in your business. There's a link in the video description, and I cannot wait to see you in Entrepreneurs University.
I'm very good, guys. How are you?
We are very well. I speak for the collective us over here. Right, give us a little summary of Spark 2 Education, my man. Give us the origin story, if you don't mind, so the listeners and the watchers know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I originally started off running holiday camps and after school clubs, and eventually this has evolved into Spark 2. So we go into schools, we run workshops in different subjects from sort of STEM to growth mindset to PE. And it was kind of born from the fact that Peter, my co-founder, and we kind of went through the education system and really struggled to gain the skills that we really needed and thought that the education system was quite dry, really. And we learn in kind of different ways. So we wanted to go into schools and kind of give a really good representation of certain subjects. So, yeah.
Fine. So is it now not holiday camps? It's now into schools, assisting schools in education, yeah?
Absolutely. So we basically now just go in for sort of a day's visit or a few days visits and deliver workshops to different year groups across the school.
And what would be your average order value? What do you charge to go into school for a day?
So it's a region between sort of £700 to £900 for the day.
And how many course leaders would be on that?
Just one. Yeah, so we have one facilitator go down. And they will set up, they kind of run up to sort of 6 workshops in a day.
And how much would you pay them?
Their rates is around £200 a day plus expenses. So the expenses can be anywhere from sort of £20-30 to £100.
And what other expenses does the business have?
So we have somebody that kind of organises the bookings, speaks to the schools and the presenters. We have some systems. We use Pipedrive as a sales system, and we use sort of email marketing and for cold emails and obviously warm. And then we have kind of like the usual expenses, admin and stuff.
Okay. So let's just go straight to challenges. Your biggest challenge, school budgets. What does that mean?
So essentially, schools will have different budgets for different things. So our biggest workshop that we sell is a science workshop. So March is a very busy month for us. But the dedicated coordinators in schools have certain budgets that they can spend on, getting external people into the school. And as those school budgets kind of shrink, there's obviously less money. And one of the first things that will get cut is our services, essentially.
And do you see that getting bigger as a challenge as time goes on? Or
It's definitely getting bigger as a challenge. We've known this for a little while now, to be honest, and that's why we want to move into this other area of sort of working with parents, really, because we know that that's a much bigger market, and they've got more sort of disposable income, and they can make sort of direct purchasing decisions.
What do you mean with parents? I struggle to understand what you mean.
So we're kind of moving our business model away from just focusing on schools to actually creating something where parents can log in. That might be a course or an online hub where they can log in and develop these future focused skills. So not only do we want to focus on kind of changing our curriculum, but also changing the business model too.
And how many people have you got on the courses and the education stuff?
What currently?
Yeah.
So we don't have any things going on right now in terms of courses. That's something that we're building at the moment and evolving into. But in terms of schools that we have that book workshops with us over sort of the course of a year is about 300 schools.
So, but rather than going off and doing all that work to get people signed up to online education courses, is it worth seeing if there is actually going to be a huge demand for it before you put a lot of energy into it?
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's what we're doing at the moment. We're kind of doing some market research. We've spoken to lots and lots of people in the kind of education system, and they know that this needs to be done, and they're 100% fully on board with the kind of structure that we've produced. But it's the kind of method and how we go about that and how we set it up, whether that could be a monthly subscription, whether that could be buying one-off courses at home, whether that could be sort of in-person stuff virtually online. I think, to be honest with you, it's going to be a mixture of all of the above to get started. But we eventually see this being an addition to, the state system school, where parents will be able to sign in and create a membership and pay for a membership so that their children can log in and do maybe half an hour of learning how to learn after school, or learning about AI after school, or how to be an entrepreneur, or career readiness and things like that. Because we know traditionally that kids aren't getting these skills in school. I've got a 7 and a 9-year-old. They're not learning these types of skills in school, the majority anyway. So as a parent, I'd be more than happy to spend, a little bit of my income on, developing these skills for them. A lot of private schools obviously incorporate this within their curriculums, but still not to a massive extent. But if you can imagine the difference between a private school is sort of 9 to 12 grand every 3 months, every term. And you've got the state school sector where, parents are not really paying anything. But they'd be happy to if they knew that they'd be learning these skills.
Yeah. I mean, what we worry about is just finding people that are very successful in building subscription model businesses because it's the holy grail, obviously.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you want that? And I've dabbled at it, and I've got it with Entrepreneurs University, and I think we've got quite a big audience, and we get a struggle to get people to sign up in their droves. People do sign up.
Yeah.
And you know lots of people, JB, don't you, that it's not as easy as everyone thinks.
No.
And I think
for sure.
what I would do is create a waiting list to see, you come up with 10 bullet points about what this is going to be, and then see if you get people to sign up to a waiting list to say that they would give you money for it once it's launched.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
And then
it's something that we're doing.
If no one signs up to the waiting list, don't go and do it, because it'll be a lot of time, effort, and energy. Because on paper the model looks fantastic. In fact, it is the greatest business model of all time on paper.
Doesn't need any staff.
No.
Recurring income, residual income, hands-free cash. Bosh.
No. But I also agree that people do like paying for education for their children. Explore Learning exists.
Ted McGrath?
Yeah, or Kit McGrath, I think.
Kit McGrath, Ted's brother.
Yeah. We have a tutor for my son, so that he, is doing better at maths, and he doesn't even need it now, but we carry it on, so he's top banana. I think a lot of people want to pay for it where there is another human one-to-one involved, and they would rather pay more. And I think there's lots of things. It's more screen time through education. But I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just sort of, putting out my anxieties about their models. If you can get it to work, then it's the best one ever.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the difficulty is with, obviously, kids want to see a person, and, we know that, like, when you're going to a holiday camp, you can get them all buzzing and involved in different activities. When they're going to an after-school club in person, it's a similar thing. But also the difficulty is that parents see the direct results, maybe in exams with maths and English and those type of subjects. The type of subjects that we're talking about are much needed, but in this education, the way that it's set up, the education system in this country, we know that it's wrong. It's not teaching our young people the right skills to be able to, further their careers, be entrepreneurs, or to think divergently. So we're on kind of two missions. We're thinking about how we can change the education system on one side, but while we're doing that, thinking about how we can, build a business of it too. So, a few challenges there.
In terms of the waitlist thing, do you know what would be a really good idea? There's a brilliant guy, mate of yours, Daniel Priestley, who talks about the Score app.
Yes.
And he doesn't launch anything until he's run it all through a Score app. And a pal of mine, a guy called Alex Chisnell, done a podcast episode with him. Show is called Screw It, Just Do It. And Daniel broke down for about 25 minutes the actual step-by-step process, like literally the nuts and bolts of how to go and do it. So find that episode, Screw It, Just Do It, the episode with Daniel Priestley. And after, I think it's about 20 minutes, there's a 25, 30-minute segment where he talks about how to properly test and measure. Because he does this thing where he tests it to 3,000 people. And if he can't get 10% of the 3,000 to engage with it, he will just kibosh the idea.
Yeah, good.
It's a great idea.
That's
fantastic.
Why did you stop doing school holiday camps? Couldn't make money from it?
Yeah, it was difficult. I think I stopped doing camps about 15 years ago, a long time ago now. The scene back then was pretty tricky. You couldn't charge as much. Now I know it's quite a good business, really. You can charge a lot more for these types of things, and I've seen that you've taken over a nice camp that were not our competition back then, because we were in a bit of a different segment. But it's a possibility to do some in-person stuff in relation to future focused skills. It's just about making it fun for the kids, and that's what we have skills of doing. So making these types of courses in entrepreneurship and AI and STEM, we can make them fun, and packaging that up into a club or a camp could be a direction that we could go, really.
Cool. Okay, let's look at the second biggest challenge, which is equipment for workshops. What does that mean?
So whenever we've tried to expand our workshops and add new subjects, You know, the science workshops, for instance, they require quite a lot of equipment, and individual little pieces that you'd need to kind of build the workshop to do kind of wow demonstrations. So things like a fire tornado or launching smoke out of a air zuka, which fires it through the air and creates these lovely smoke rings. But all of those little pieces need to be sent out to our facilitators, which are sort of dotted around England. And then obviously they need to be trained. And then obviously you don't know the kind of response in terms of bookings too much until sort of fairly near the time. You might get 1 or 2 months in advance. But yeah, that kind of, to upskill our facilitators in lots of different workshops is obviously costly, and you don't know whether they're going to take long term, if you see what I mean.
So what's the challenge? Just getting the stuff there or funding it?
No, it's kind of funding it without knowing whether it's going to take over a long period of time, because obviously if you're sending out equipment, you need that to then if you're paying for equipment and training, you need that to then get lots of bookings over a long period of time. So let's say you wanted to start a new workshop, you'd need to know that that was going to be a successful workshop and schools were going to take that for at least a year or more to be able to make that purchasing decision.
But you get a contract from the school for a year?
No. This is just, it's kind of very much ad hoc when they want to take it, and when they don't want to take it, they don't take it. We do have some repeat bookings, so like over sort of 40% of our business is rebookings, but it's very much on an ad hoc basis and a year by year basis. So the sustainability of our business is very difficult.
I mean, yeah, that doesn't sound great to me.
No.
Try and get the contracts, I suppose, do less and make more.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. I mean, without spending lots of time and understanding whether that risk capital is worth it. I mean, I've been risking money on stuff like that my whole career, but I understand not everyone wants to have that appetite to risk like I have. Without knowing that, and if it's annoying you and you can't afford it, do less and make sure you charge accordingly so that you do make money. I mean, one of the things, I'm listening to you, I don't feel like you're really in love with your business model.
I'm not. We're not in love with the business model. It's not something that's sustainable, and we've known this for a period of time, but we need to go back to basics and why we started this business. And what we've done is we've tried to appease the customers and tried to do new things linked to other things.
Do you're so scared of losing any revenue, you take all revenue. Then there's other great businesses out there. I mean, I was listening to I always talk about Rolex on the show. The biggest respect of Rolex is why they've never made bags and coats and ties, and they're not diversified the brand ever. And over their 150-year history, I'm sure a board meeting's come up when they've gone, we can make a lot of money if we made a Rolex bag. People would have bought it. But they've stayed in their lane and they've said, no, this is our model. We're not going to go and make all them other things. That's what we do. Yeah. And I think when you're building a business, you're just so scared of getting to next month. You'll do anything to keep cash flow coming in. And you see lots of businesses, like Apple have never done big ticket discounts ever. No, I've never known that ever to happen. If they did, they would have a grab of turnover for 6 months. But then a lot of people would think, that's a bit rubbish. Don't think I'll buy that again. And you have to be so careful on this stuff. What I would say to you, Paul, is, maybe more time needs to be looking at building a model that you've got a certain set of skill sets. You and your business partner, Pete, you've got skill sets, you've got knowledge, you've got 10,000 hours of practice in this space. Is it now time to start a teacher recruitment company, putting in teachers into schools where you get paid quicker and you build up regular rapport with teachers, you put supply teachers in, science teachers, so that you've got predictable income that you might not make the bigger margins, but you're bringing in predictable cash flow? I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know. No. But I think, what I do know, if you're dissatisfied with your model, if you're not changing it, you're accepting it. And does that acceptance eventually think, well, I don't want to do this anymore? But you've probably got something good here. You're just operating a model that needs tweaking. And JB and I have had lots of people on this show where we've gone through, looked at their business. They've got knowledge, they've got desire, they've got work ethic, but they're peddling the wrong model.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think that's what we've got to a stage. It's just we haven't quite found that right model that we can shift over to. But like you said before, we really need to do a little bit more market research and maybe get that wait list. I'm going to definitely listen to that podcast and see how we can sort of get that customer base in.
I think that's a bit minutiae in terms of the conversation. I think you're thinking, oh yeah, I'll get that waiting list. But I mean, that's a tiny thing. In the macro problem here is our business model good enough? So you're thinking about this education, subscription thing.
So hard that as a business, isn't it? Just to reiterate for people, it is so hard. Like, what would you get? 100,000 listens and follows of this podcast every single month, probably more than that on the main channel. You got thousands of people on the mailing list, and you've got a couple of hundred members of.
How many members do we have on a year?
Yeah, a couple hundred at any one time.
Yeah, a couple hundred. Yeah, that's the end of that conversation.
It's done. So that equates to.
Say it slowly. What do you want?
Sorry, Chad. Say again.
Do you want me to say it slowly? What more do you want from me to say?
I've got some more dramatic music. How many you got?
A couple hundred at any one time. Sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes
I feel like I'm in an abusive
less than that.
You are.
Sometimes it is quite a lot more than that, and then sometimes it's not so much. But right now, it's probably a couple hundred.
Thanks, Chad.
There you go.
Everybody.
Yeah, but
No worries.
Yeah, and we, if I don't know if you've checked, we do put content out consistently.
Yes.
Week in, week out.
Every day.
I mean, yeah, every day something's going out, multiple bits of content. It is a tough gig that. But I don't know. Maybe if people, it falls into love, want, and need. Where people love it, want it. And
I don't want to put all our eggs in one basket because, there are other opportunities that we're exploring. So, the in-person club stuff, the camps, the different events. We're exploring some events for sort of other types of schools to kind of draw students in. These are other types of things that we're looking at as a kind of collection. Into building up. I think the subscription model, like you say, is very, very difficult unless you've got a real captive audience, and that's what we need to try and build up over a period of time.
Do you know there's another thing as well? There's a lot of hate for subscription now, isn't there? People are like, I'm just going to go through and
when times get tough,
go
through
subscription.
Yeah.
In businesses and in direct to consumer, we're signing up for this, sign up for that.
You mentioned that 40% of the business is rebooking, so. My question would potentially be, is it not worth you looking at and setting some KPIs around, well, why can't we get that to 50%? Why can't 50% of our business be rebookings?
Yeah, absolutely.
And residual. And, if you have to do sort of a, come up with a package for schools that makes it more affordable to them. But they can book it in for, a 1 year basis. And I don't know how, I don't know anything about the education system, so I might be making stuff up here, but I imagine that there will be a period of time where they get allocated the budgets for that next term or half term or, year or whatever it may be. And you want to have an offering in front of those people that goes, hey, we've already done an amazing science wow session for your kids, but what about if we did this, that, and the other as well, and we can do it in these different ways, and you can pay over these different terms. It seems like everyone's always looking for new customers, but actually, if you spend your time nurturing the customers you've already got, it often ends up being easier and cheaper to get more money out of those people than it is to go and find new people.
Si, senor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Challenge number 3 is creating new content. What does that mean?
I think I was thinking in the current business. So obviously that would mean creating different workshops and then, providing the equipment and then marketing them. It can be quite costly, creating new workshops from scratch and testing them and trialing them if you want to do it in a really professional manner. But, that's what we're doing with this new kind of thing is building new content. Yeah.
If I was owning this business, by the way, I love the website. Do you like the website, JB?
Yeah, it's nice. Very cool.
Very good website. We're on it now looking. If this was my business and I wanted to get new customers, I would be speaking at teachers' conferences. Are you doing anything like that?
Funnily enough, I've just been, as part of doing this podcast and things like that, I'm trying to put myself out there a bit more. So yeah, we've applied to speak at some. So hopefully by the end of the year we'll have, half a dozen.
I would be wanting to speak at, even if there's only 25 teachers there, because they will all go to their head teachers. They do all the local ones. I'll be making sure you're doing one a week. I mean, that I think will just fill your boots, baby.
Yeah, no, you're right.
When I started in this entrepreneurship gig, doing content for entrepreneurs, I would speak at a conference every week, and it really quickly built my confidence up. People start talking about you. What's really good about it, it's not, there's only 25, 50 people there. Those 25, 50 people have had you on stage, see you as an authority, and in a niche sort of industry, they go off and tell people much more than in a broad industry. Especially, if you're speaking to kids with, specialists in, dyspraxia, dyslexia, autism, special needs, those 50 people in the audience that work in that space really care about that space. They're experts in that space. Then they go to other conferences all the time, and your name will quickly be mentioned, and that will be the biggest feeder to get you work, because once you've spoken on stage, something happens with authority for you.
100%. I agree with that, and it's definitely something we're looking into to do lots and lots more of. And just, like putting yourself out there on LinkedIn and things like that, and just making yourself available to teachers to see that you're a leading force in something is key, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There probably is 10 big conferences that teachers go to. And when you can say you've spoken at those 10 big conferences, that they all know that's what it is. I mean, there'll be the Met Gala, the Oscars for movies. Everyone knows what it is, even if you haven't been there. But if you've been to, whatever it is, ABC Teachers Conference UK, and that's the big thing they all know in that sort of proprietary language for that space, and you've been part of that. Very powerful.
Quite often you have to get a stand, and it'll be worth doing it, but only get a stand if you can get a speaking slot. Absolutely. Especially when they're about to close out, if they're getting the last minute sales, and those salespeople are desperate to get you in, say, well, I'm only going to take a stand if I get a speaking slot.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think we could. So we work with some partners. So like we do some VR workshops, and Class VR are a massive company in that space, and they sell VR headsets into schools. So maybe we could partner with them and maybe take a little bit of their kind of space and do something around that.
Get the stand for free if you do the speaking gig. That's what I try and do.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll come do the speaking gig. Usually I charge $5,000 for that, but you don't have to pay me. Give me a stand.
Yeah.
But also, if you have got a company like that who's putting VR into classrooms, then obviously those schools have got decent sized budgets. So could you say to them, hey, as part of an additional package, why don't we go in and do, 3 times a year VR workshop, and we'll create something specialist for your clients and customers as a way to get your foot in the door? And
some schools, JB, have multi-million-pound budgets.
Huge, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I know they all gets used up in the running of the thing. I mean, you really respect it as an adult looking back, how big your secondary school was. Do you remember how big your secondary school was?
Yeah, it was 1,600 kids and probably 200 staff. So there's 2,000 people on site. Yeah.
Massive. Yeah. But anyway, good. Right, let's do questions, JB. You fire them away.
Yeah, so I think we've covered this one. Question number 1 was, do you think we've got the correct strategy for growth? I think we've covered that.
Yep.
Question number 2, how do we always make sure we optimize our time on the most important things in our business from a top level?
Well, that's very, I'm going to say.
Very apt.
I'm going to say make sure you're working on very important, non-urgent tasks. That, to me, is what peak performance is. Do you want me to say that one more time for you?
Yes, please.
So working on very important, non-urgent tasks, which is not a James Sinclairism. It is, what is that chart thing called?
Kiyosaki, the quadrant.
Yes, the
quadrant of legends or whatever.
Basically, most people work on very important, very urgent tasks. That's what sort of drives human beings. I mean, the best thing is, the building's on fire. grab the hose.
Yeah.
So that's very important, very
You
urgent.
should also do that though. If you're currently listening to this podcast and you're burning your building is on fire, definitely get the hose.
But a very important non-urgent task would be, let's install fire sprinklers into here.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So that you're
definitely.
not going to be needing them fire sprinklers probably ever. But it's a very important, not urgent task to do. So for me, that would be writing a book. It's very important. It's not urgent, but actually the power of doing that compounding over time. This podcast is, to me, very important, non-urgent. Both me and him do not benefit today from the work we're doing here, but in 10 years' time, it could be very, very important.
Speaking at conferences would be a great example of that for you, wouldn't it? It's not urgent, but it's very, very important. Yeah,
and anyone that I come across that is playing at their top of their game or they're super successful, they spend 80% of their time doing very important non-urgent stuff. And that's peak performance to me.
And then the final one was question number...
another one, personally, exercise. It just sums that up.
Yes.
It's very important. It's not urgent.
Yeah.
But how many people do that religiously? Not many.
Not many. Until it becomes urgent.
Yeah.
And then it's too late, oftentimes. But right, final question then was, what should we look to simplify our business instead of constantly adding new themes? I think if you're asking the question, you know the answer. What do you think to that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want you to beat yourself up about this, Paul, but I think most people have got models that are they're dissatisfied with. They're working incredibly hard, doing amazing things, but they're just putting the effort into the wrong stuff.
I think that every time I leave this bloody podcast recording. I hate every other Tuesday with you, and I love it in equal measure.
No, I really do think it's most people.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's just
the thing that you keep
I think
talking
James, you've shown it.
is the model thing, though, because I think a lot of people throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like this doesn't work. Education for children doesn't work. I'm going to start something new. No, it does work. It's just you got to change the degree 5 degrees, not 180 it and go into something completely different.
Yeah, but most because everyone, like restaurants don't work, and restaurants are rubbish. But you wouldn't mind owning Nando's, would you?
Yeah.
I mean, you just know. It's just you got to find the right model.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes
I think it's just scale, isn't it? As well.
What's really frustrating is Nando's have, like Rolex, I reckon we should put steak on the menu. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And they've stayed disciplined to make sure that they stay consistent.
Yeah.
And when you are judge, jury and executioner of your thing, there is an opportunity to just do the grab for turnover, which gives you a short-term jab in the arm of
grab for turnover. Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah, that's very true. I think it's just about scale, isn't it, really? And is the thing that we're doing now scalable to the point of where we need to make a decent living and to get multiple staff on board, and in its current format it's not scalable to the point of what we want to do. So it's the same with camps. It's exactly the same. If you're running a camp sort of out the back of your house with sort of limited equipment and stuff like that, it's just not scalable. But if you invest in the equipment, the good locations,
that's right. And, I look at Camp Beaumont, that there is an opportunity to take this thing national across the country, but we operate in London because there's 9 million people in London. Maybe we could operate in Birmingham and Manchester, but it'd be very difficult to scale that up across the country, in my opinion. We actually think it's going to be easier and we are going to be selling it up in Dubai. We're in Hong Kong. We're in, Singapore, in these cities where there's international schools and there's, the chimney pots are important in business.
Yeah, absolutely.
More important, I think that, we always say this, but it really is important. If you've got 9 million people in and around London, it makes such a difference. Like Cafe Deli is what it is, my wholesale food sale business, because it sits in one of the biggest cities in Europe.
Yeah, it wouldn't work in Norfolk, would it?
Not as well. No, I mean, obviously people need to eat all round, but it is the 9 million people
make it possible.
Make it all a lot easier. Not saying this. I mean, and things can all become possible with a lot of, but then it becomes difficult rather than easy difficult.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Well, where can people go and find out more information about you if they like the cut of your jib and they think, I would like this guy to educate my child in some way, shape or form? He sounds like a lovely fellow. Where can they go to, mate?
Absolutely. So, website is spark2.org. You'll see a lot of our kind of newer strategy coming on board there within the next couple of weeks. Follow me on LinkedIn, Paul White, education consultant. And
good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you very much for being on the show, Paul. We appreciate your time.
Cheers.
Thank you so much, guys. Mate. Really appreciate it.
All the best. Take care. There you go. Paul, all the way from...
He is the classic of what we always talk about on here. You go on his website. He obviously knows how many beans make 5. He is very passionate about the sector he's in, so he's got passion. He's just peddling the wrong model, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think that's 80% of business owners.
Not the wrong business, the wrong model.
Not the wrong sector.
Yeah.
There's
There's
billions in education.
Yeah. But it is very easy, isn't it, to hear that and go, I'm going to do the subscription thing. As someone, you've done it, I've done it. It is so much more difficult than the course selling experts would have you believe, because obviously they're trying to sell you the concept of doing a course. It is so tough.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if I had 1 million YouTube subscribers, so 8 times more than what we've got now, maybe I could have 500 people paying us £50 a month.
Yeah. That's not a lot, though, for that size of audience, is it?
And similarly, we go, it's much easier for us to sell tickets to an event for a lot more money than it is for us to get people along.
Same audience, same information, different model of delivery.
Do you know what? I was talking to someone about this very recently. I was speaking to a guy called Mitch Nunn, who's in the property education space. I saw him at a mutual friend's barbecue on Sunday. And he said he wants to set up that, do all that stuff. And I said, yeah, but good people don't want to pay for subscriptions. No. They want to pay the 10 grand, 20 grand and have the one-to-one stuff.
Yeah.
Some people really do like subscriptions. I've done some subscription courses and stuff and I find them very useful. And I think our one is very good. But actually a lot of people go, no, I want to pay the big money and have the one-to-one care.
People who pay attention.
Yeah. I think
when they come to business masterclass, they've paid 200 or 300 quid or whatever. They're there. They've taken themselves out of the business. They've had to come to London, had to have the cost of a hotel. They're going to get that information. They're going to take it and they're going to go and deploy it. But 50 quid a month just ticks over. Then have they logged into it in the last 30 days? Probably not. And then, like I say, they go through once a quarter. You go, God, bloody hell, my software and my SaaS bill is $2,000 a month. What am I spending out on? And then it gets cold because they haven't used it.
That's right.
Very true.
Right, here we go.
Let's rate him. It's time for James Sinclair's 8 Traits of the Greats. I know what you're thinking. This is normally put at the show where he has to fill for time because he has to look on his phone for the 8 traits. But now he's got himself a fancy board because he does all of his printing in-house.
Printed and made in-house. Isn't this great? And then we've got the great song. We need to dedicate this, find out who actually put this on there.
Who was the great song?
Someone we asked, I don't know, about...
8 weeks ago.
8 weeks ago, we said, has anyone got a little saying song for
each of the ratings?
For each of the ratings. So we've got the great song. So we'll rate it, then we'll read it out. And Shuds hates the music that goes with it,
which is brilliant.
So we now put it on Apple Music as well, so you can...
So let's do the 8 traits then. So...
Starting with the end in mind.
I don't think you can have that.
No. Passionate about their cause, yes
definitely.
You can.
He is definitely
Untold amounts of resilience.
I don't think we found that out. I don't think we have to give it a 0. That's us, not him.
They master relationships with people.
I think you've got to in that space, haven't you?
Number 5, commercial awareness.
I'm not so sure.
No, I'm not so sure.
You're giving a little half, are you?
Yeah. Number 5, and they innovate so they don't evaporate. Well, he wants to innovate.
He does want to innovate. Is he innovating in the right way? That is the question. But he's innovating.
Let's give him that.
Yeah.
They're master marketeers. I did like their website. But I don't know if
they're obviously not getting enough leads, are they?
So let's give them a half for that. They stay teachable and curious.
Oh, he gets that one.
Yeah, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5.
It's time for the great song.
Here we go. It's... Shut actually actively disengages. Come on, Sinclair, sing it.
I think we should sing it from the start so people can get it.
I don't.
It's a 1. The entrepreneurial journey is done.
The entrepreneurial journey.
It's a 2. There's so much work to do. It's a 3. They need to think, is this business for me?
Are you
It's a
listening?
4.
Are you listening
a few
to the
tweaks
theme
and they
music?
can have much more. It's a 5. This business is gonna thrive. That's where we're at. Number 5.
Are you listening to the music? Because at no point did you hit a single beat.
Oh, sorry.
Might as well have not been included. Anyway,
It's a 6.
entrepreneurial tricks.
It's a 7.
Entrepreneurial heaven.
It's an 8.
He's on par with James Sinclair the Great. We need to work on this. If you have got some better suggestions for this song or some better theme
like
music, this is good. It's us, not that's the issue.
Yeah.
We need to have a practice.
Well, you can sing it. Singing's not my strong point.
It's not mine anymore either. Oh, here comes Chuds. We're in trouble now. Chuds.
Do you want the guy that commented?
Yes, please.
His name was John T. the Spark.
John T. the Spark.
Thank you, John T. the
I
Spark.
think the issue is
Here it goes.
not
Presupposition is an
comment on
issue.
your wonderful musical skills, James.
Yeah.
That comment, as good as it is, isn't written in
doesn't-
a poetic way that is easy to read out. It's just random, like entrepreneurial journey.
We're going on X Factor.
That's a difficult comment to make work, I think, regardless
It's a
of
5.
musical ability.
This business is gonna thrive.
I mean, you're not making the point
This is
anymore
not
there.
going anywhere, no.
You're done. It's
I love
over.
it. So you got a 5. Well
You
done.
got a 5. Well done.
It's quite a good score, really.
That is.
Quite a good score. We don't get many 5s. Most people are around the 4s, so
Yeah.
you should be very happy with that.
It should indeed. Right, it's now time for this. We don't ever wrap up a show without this. Thanks, Chuds.
Which one's clever and which
That's what we
one's
need.
dumb?
Alliteration,
Easy,
I think.
Let's get quizzy.
In this envelope is a statistic or a business fact about the sector in which we have just spoken. So this is probably going to be something education-based, I would
Okay.
imagine. Me and the leading oracle of British entrepreneurship, James Sinclair, go head-to-head in a battle of the wits and the brains. And you can join in at home as well. So today's question is, here we go. How much revenue did the global kids recreational services market make in 2024? How much revenue did the global kids recreational services market make in 2024?
UK, worldwide?
Global.
Global.
The clue is in the question. You must know this. This is a bit
I don't
of you,
even
isn't
know
it?
what it means, though. What does recreation, is that?
It's going to be like after school clubs and that, isn't it? I wonder if it's going to be like playgrounds and play parks and all that stuff. Just to have a... Oh, where's our white? We ain't got our whiteboards today, have we? Come on.
I don't know what it is. I'm going 300 billion.
300 billion?
Worldwide, yeah, I don't know.
I'm going 7 billion.
Who knows?
Let's find out. The answer is... sod off. There's no way. I want this fact checked. This is fake news. This is fake news. 1.4 trillion.
Well,
So you were 700 billion off, and you were still right. Oh, I'd give up. $1.46 trillion. It will be estimated to be around 2.3 trillion by 2035. Kids recreational services currently account for 25 to 30% of the overall global recreational services market. The key growth factors are holistic child development, ironically spelled incorrectly on this, development, technology, and mental well-being.
well, I don't think.
What?
I've
never been
I
more
don't
confused.
think anyone understood the question really. So, but
But you won. Have we got the cups?
no,
Don't
we haven't got
matter.
the cups. No.
We ain't got the cups, we ain't got the whiteboard, and we ain't got a good question.
Good stuff. Well, thanks very much for listening in to this episode of the Business Broadcast. If you are watching on YouTube or you're watching on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please subscribe. It helps more than you know.
It does, indeed. Have you got anything you'd like to sell?
If you'd like to come to one of our events to expand your business further in person, live. All the details are on my website, jamessinclair.net. We're getting ready for Business Masterclass in September, and I'm sure
The show,
just
this,
enough.
Yeah, we've got enough time. This is the live show won't have happened yet, would it?
Well, we're doing the big live show at the Leicester Square Theatre. Tickets for that are a bargain. Cost you £32 plus vodka and tonic, VAT, because JB doesn't like my jokes.
I do
we'd
like
love
your
to see
jokes.
you
I just
there.
think people think if they're going for a night out, you're going to buy them a drink.
Did you like my joke in my newsletter?
Which one was it this
One
week?
that's just come out. Classic joke.
Go on, what is it?
When I went to the doctors, didn't I?
Did you?
Yeah, because I started having lettuce growing out of my pants.
What did he say?
He said, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Very good. Chud, you approving of that one? He does like that one, actually. The childish ones he likes. But there you go. Please feel free. Leave us a 5-star review wherever you download your podcast and all that kind of good stuff as well. Make sure you get to one of Jimbo's events because he is the leading light of British entrepreneurship. He is, many a person is after him for his wit, his intelligence, his knowledge, and you can get it all for free. All you've got to do is hit that subscribe button.
And how long have you been fishing?
Oh, I knew it. Are you joking? You look like you come as poor man's father Ted. Or like a Jeremy Clarkson tribute band.
Why?
Because he gave me gilet.
Yeah, but it's not this gilet.
Is it?
Yeah.
You're looking very slim.
This was made this decade.
If you're a fan of online bullying, make sure you tune into James Sinclair's podcast because you'll always. What's wrong with that?
That's nice.
Nothing wrong with it.
Shortbread just fell out.
Did it? Shortbread. Son of Sinclair. Right, let's see. Shortbread. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching today, gang. I hope you enjoyed the show. Now, look, we're looking for some great businesses to come on the podcast. If you've got challenges, but you're desperate to grow your business and you can't necessarily work out how to do it on your own, you'll be a perfect candidate to come here on the podcast. It's absolutely free to come on the show. Go to my website, jamessinclair.net, and there's a podcast button. Click on the podcast button, fill in the application form, and we'll do our very best to get you on the show and try and grow your business. If you're loving the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking here. And why not give this one a watch? I think you'll like it.